Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where today we are back on War Thunder yet again, and today we are looking at aliens, more specifically these giant frisbees. Now I suppose it is oversimplifying it just a little bit to call them giant frisbees, but in fact what they are is sort of multi-use combat vehicles. These can be submarines, they can be sort of hover tanks, or they can be aircraft. Very interesting way for Gaijin, especially in this sort of event, to test out many mechanics they may add in the future, some of which have been very much speculated about since the unveiling of this event, being vertical takeoff and landing due to the hover mode, and also active protection system, also known as APS. Now that's mainly sort of thought of as being tested here because of the shields that can be used on these UFOs. People seem to think, hey, that's a way of having sort of a perimeter around it. That could be a way to test active protection system, which, if you don't know, in most cases it's got a sensor and it fires off a high explosive charge, which theoretically should explode and destroy whatever projectiles incoming before it hits the vehicle. Now, similar way, the shield stops the laser beam hitting the UFO, so it could be a way to test similar mechanics. Vertical takeoff and landing, as I said, hover mode, so that would make sense. Now, of course, the UFOs, they don't actually perform in flight like any aircraft in game or any tanking game with the way that they go around, but it still can be a good way to test those base mechanics that could be used for those systems in the future and just see how they generally work in the game engine. Now, the event itself, I have heard a lot of complaints that it can get boring after a few games. I do sympathize with these complaints. It is fairly true. It is basically just a point-and-click game mode. It can get boring fairly quickly, to be honest. Yeah, not really much to say on that. It can get boring. It's a point-and-click game mode, not much to do. There are, however, different weapon types that, if used, can make it a bit more fun. For example, you have the laser beam, you have the railgun, which you use when you're in a tank mode, which you can see I am using now, and then underwater, you can either use torpedoes, or either it is the railgun, or it's a shotgun type weapon. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but as you can see, that was definitely the railgun there in the tank mode, and you can see the shield was also around my ship while I was in the hover mode. Now, this is a big dome. This map obviously is new. This is the Green Hills map. We've had quite a few things about Green Hills sort of hyping up this event, especially the stuff like the conspiracy of Green Hills, what happened. We had a lot of that. This is the map. So it's quite interesting to see, especially since portions of this map have very high-rise buildings, in some cases things that would be classed as skyscrapers, and it is interesting to see this map because when in a custom game driving through it in a tank, the detailing really isn't that bad, so I would highly expect that at least a portion of this map might eventually become an actual ground forces map. I really wouldn't be surprised if that was to happen. Now, it is just generally nice, I would say, to have a map with skyscrapers. In War Thunder, we're generally used to having very small buildings. Really no tall buildings in the game. The tallest ones we've been getting are the ones on Alaska, which only came last update, so it is really cool to just fly around in both the UFOs and in custom games with aircraft around skyscrapers. Of course, the big dome, the alien dome, does ruin it a bit, but it's pretty cool to see. Now, of course, there are actually some notable buildings on this map. For example, I believe it's the Sears Tower from Chicago, and then also the Bank of China building from Hong Kong. So, some real-life buildings. This is an alternate reality game mode, so I presume they were just randomly chucked in there just to have something sort of relatable to the real world, but this obviously is not based on a real place in the world, so that's why this would likely just be one of the alternate reality maps rather than an actual historical location. Now, of course, as you can see, I'm inside the dome. This is a nice feature of this game mode. There's a little dome section for the B point. I like how they split it. You have the underwater sort of submarine warfare area, this inside the dome more tank, hover tank-like game mode, and then you also have the A point, which is a mid-air point. That is the sort of aircraft game mode. So there is actually a lot of variety when it comes to this game mode, and you can actually see where they might be testing specific features or mechanics for future implementation. And in terms of some of those mechanics like vertical takeoff and landing, I really do not see why that shouldn't be added now. Some aircraft like the Harrier or the German VJ-101 or the VAC-191, they could be added into the game now and would not be overpowered whatsoever. Vertical takeoff and landing as a whole would not make any vehicle specifically overpowered. It would just be a nice little feature that that vehicle would be able to use. The vehicle itself would not have an express advantage, in my opinion. But anyway, as you can see, getting to actually talking about the gameplay, I am trying to cap the B point. I just took out another enemy. This game, quite a few kills in this one, and there's some guy. He's still in the actual UFO flight mode. I'm in the tank mode right now with the shield. He didn't have a shield, so my railgun went straight into him, and Kablumski, he was dead. Currently on 8 kills without a death, so going pretty damn well, I would say. I think this is the best game I've got so far. I might gather some more footage and do a second video. Probably not, but I might do it if you guys want to see more specific things focused on. And there's another kill, as you can see, the laser beam. I would advise going for the bottom of the alien spacecraft if you can. That's sort of the weakest section, and that's generally where the hitbox is most sort of vulnerable. So that is the best place to go. And now you're about to see some of that underwater shotgun type gameplay. Here's some dude down here. I'm just going to follow him. He is being sneaky breaky. You want to be careful. But I'm going towards him. I'm going to sneaky up on him, and I'm going to use the shotgun. It is certainly more of a close range weapon, but let's see what we can do. And there we go. As you can see, incredibly powerful. I presume there's some kind of like high explosive rounds, because they seem to explode at a certain distance. Here's another guy, and oh, I missed, and kaboomski. There we go. 2 kills, capping the C point. Certainly pretty good there. So yeah, as I was saying, you got the sort of shotgun thing underwater and torpedoes. I didn't really look at them in this video because when I was making this video, or when I was gathering the footage for the video, the torpedoes had a bug. I can't quite remember what it was, but that's now been patched. So if you do specifically want to see these using torpedoes, let me know and I'll do a quick 5-minute video just showcasing that. Here's another alien spaceship going in, and yeah, didn't quite kill him there. The hitboxes are somewhat inconsistent, I think it's fair to say, but you know, you can do well if you hit the right places. And as I said, the underside is generally the best place to attempt to hit. I wouldn't attack from in front that often, purely because the UFOs have a very thin profile, so actually scoring a hit from in front can be, well, rather challenging, I would say. And that was actually the end of that game. I got killed, got a single more kill on my second spawn, and that was a 12 kill game there. Pretty damn good. Now this game is interesting. This footage might be a tiny bit laggy because it was recorded while I was streaming, but nonetheless, this does showcase something rather interesting in the event. So I've just killed someone, running away. I'm going to try and yeet it into the zone just to try and get some cover, and oh no, I'm inside the building. It appears if you hit the buildings hard enough and at the right position and angle, you will go inside of them. And I thought, oh no, this is the end of my game. And funnily enough, I actually killed someone. So I'm in the building. This is later on in the game. There's multiple enemy flying saucers trying to kill me. They obviously aren't getting any shots in. The building is technically there, so they can't kill me. They can't fire in. But this guy, he thinks he's going to hit it really hard, and kabootski. Yeah. He hits the building hard enough that he semi-glitches inside, and I'm able to kill him with the railgun. Pretty damn good there, and that was the end of that game. Overall, I had 3 kills. I had 2 before I got stuck in the building, and a single base cap. While I was in the building, I actually capped the base, which is rather interesting there. Now, also the base cap's kind of inconsistent. In some places you will cap, and then suddenly you're not capping, and also in other places, sort of where you shouldn't be capping, you will. I think it's also a factor of altitude, how high you are in the zone. I think you need to be quite low to the ground to actually be capping the base. Now this is the final game I'm going to show, another decent one I would say. So I am starting off by capping the B point. I started by just yeeting it into the zone. The good thing about this zone is the enemy can only get in on the green section. They have to go low, and they generally have to be going fairly slow to get in. So no one can just dive in on you from above. They have to actually plan a route in, which gives you time to realize, hey, there's an enemy, I should go near them and take them out when they enter, which is definitely very useful. It's a very interesting combat area, I would say. Now, this was actually probably my favourite combat area on this map during the event. The second of which would probably actually be the underwater, the submarine type area, purely because of the guns on this that it uses. The shotgun type gun is effectively a 1-kill machine. You shoot an enemy with that gun, you will kill them with a single shot. So it's kind of just a case of underwater being incredibly vigilant and just being very quick with your gun. The first one to get on target is generally the first one to kill. So I do enjoy those guns quite a lot, I have to say. So I would say it's pretty interesting. Generally the event, as I said before, can get a bit boring after a few games, but you can always do things to make it a bit more interesting, just generally playing in a different area of the map, using a different playstyle, or something along those lines. It is a decent event though. As April Fool's events go, Gaijin generally do put a decent amount of effort into theirs, so I wouldn't really be one to complain all that much about an April Fool's event. Of course, though, we have been very much spoiled with the Tier 9 event, which for the first time in the game added higher tier modern sort of tanks as well as helicopters. It added a lot of stuff that was incredibly interesting to see, and there actually was a great example of that shotgun, and there again, single shots. Now I think I actually got damaged by the explosives going off in my own shells, which is rather interesting. And as you saw, the underside of that spaceship, he pulled up, I hit the underside, the hitbox sort of has a very big weak spot there, and I was able to get another kill. So certainly going quite well. I have just sort of picked out the best games. I've done about 20 games with some friends, and these were the best of those games, apart from, of course, the middle one, which was just a funny moment where I got stuck inside a building. And don't think that was just a one-off. On my stream, when I did a stream of the event yesterday, I actually got stuck inside buildings in the first 3 games I did, and then on the 4th game I got stuck inside a water tower, and it took me a few minutes to actually get out. So, you know, it's a bit weird, it's kind of annoying, but I guess it's just sort of a case of not a huge amount of work being put into the map, which certainly isn't a bad thing on Gaijin's part. It's an April Fool's event, you really shouldn't be expecting them to put a major amount of development resources into this event, considering that it's only going to be running for a few days. Now that certainly doesn't mean that no effort has been put in. The UFOs themselves are very nicely modelled, very nice high quality models, very nice X-ray view as well, and also I would say the actual flight performance, the flight model itself, does actually perform like a typical sci-fi UFO. It would perform like this in my opinion. It seems to fit along with all the stuff I've seen in media and sort of sci-fi movies. So I think it's certainly a very interesting event that I think has had effort put into it. Obviously the map is very big, you can't expect them to put a ton of time into it, although in my opinion the map looks a lot more complete than the Middle East map from the Tier 9 event, so I think we might be seeing at least a portion of this map in the future as a tank map. Anyway, I am going to end the video there. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please consider smashing the like button, maybe even subscribe to the channel. If you do, that would be massively appreciated. As per usual, do feel free to leave your thoughts on this event in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.